now we get to start putting this thing back together. So here's the inside of the new water pump. Here's a tube of ultra copper. This stuff kind of looks bad when you get it all over the place, but it keeps things sealed, so let's do it. Here's a new gasket. Goes on like that. So I'm going to poop some silicone on here and stick it on there. I like going around the bolt holes too. So now I'm just going to position that on there and just stick it down. And I'm also going to run some silicone on this side as well. Ready to go. So I'm just going to place this into position, and let me get my bolts ready. I'm going to put some silicone on the threads of these bolts because these bolts actually go into the water jacket. So, new water pump, new gasket. Yeah, the torque spec here is not going to cause a problem if you just get it close to 15 by feel. Okay. Now just slide these hoses back on. There's only 3 of them here. They're all different sizes, so it's pretty much impossible to get these mixed up. Alright, well I managed to get that last hose clamp on there. Probably in the wrong order, but it worked. So now we got our new water pump in there. Sweet. Alright, well I guess next we can install this timing belt tensioner. Remember that this piece lines up down here. Pretty sure that I got it there, yep. And just thread it on there. Don't pull this pin out, that's keeping the tension off the... That's holding the tensioner open, basically. So we'll loosen that up once... We'll take that pin out once we have the belt in place. Alright, so I got my old belt here, my new belt here. We're just going to stretch them out, make sure they're the same length. Trusted bands, auto parts are usually pretty good about stuff, but just make sure that they're the same. You can count the teeth, but I'm not worried about it. Now make sure you got your new belt in your hand. Go ahead and feed it down, wrap it around that crankshaft pulley. There she is. Around the water pump, the tensioner, and the cam sprocket here. Alright, so once you have it on there, you can go ahead and take the tension off the tensioner. Now before you do anything, double check your timing marks. So, dot lines up with the point there. And the dot lines up with the notch there. So we're all good. Now if they were to not line up, nothing moved when we took it off. They were aligned when we took it off, and we put the belt right back on. So there's no reason for anything not to line up. But if for some reason yours didn't line up, what you'd have to do is loosen the tensioner, rotate the cam, we'll line up the crank pulley, and then rotate the cam 1 notch forward, 1 notch backwards, because hopefully that's all that it's off, until they line up, and then put the belt back on, put tension on the tensioner, and check it again. Alright, at this point we're ready to put the timing belt cover back on. So we're just going to grab it, slide it into place and thread these bolts in. I'm just tightening these back up. The torque spec on these is probably somewhere in the 20s, but it's not critical. Next goes the timing belt cover that you did not see me remove. There's 3 little screws that hold it on, the 8mm headed ones. You need to have pretty small hands. It's kind of a tight fit working down in here. I'm going to try getting to them from underneath. Now we can put the crank back into position. You see that notch there? That fits over the Woodruff key on the end of the crank. Insert the bolt. And I'm just going to tighten that up with the impact wrench. No point in fighting what doesn't need to be fought. Alright, I just did the same thing with this accessory belt to make sure it's the same. And now I'm just going to slide it onto the motor here. There's the belt routing for an SPI motor, in case you need it. And the belt's on there. Hardest part is just getting that tensioner. Just do it the same way with that 3/8 ratchet. It might be easier to do it if you don't have that cover on there. And now we can install that motor mount. I wish I could say this is my new one, but Advanced Auto Parts is closed, so I'll just do this tomorrow. Just push the motor back a little bit to line these holes up, and then start threading all these bolts by hand, and then you can just finish them off with an impact. I'm just going to put the power steering reservoir back where it belongs. Just slide the rubber grommets into their notches. And then move the expansion chamber. Oop. We're losing coolant. I better tighten up the radiator drain valve. Oops. I think it's supposed to go this way. So, put the expansion tank back where it belongs. And last but not least, your broken splash shield. Alright, well you made it this far in the procedure, so I figure you probably know how to put a tire on a car. So I didn't bore you with that. Now we're going to lower the car off the jack stands and fill it back up with coolant. So I got my funnel there, I got my clean coolant here, so I'm just going to dump this into the motor. Clean this bucket out before I used it so I know that all this coolant is clean. No, it didn't take all of it. That's fine. We're going to start the car up. And let the water pump circulate the water through, which will push the air out. And when you do this, you want to do this with the heater all the way to hot. Alright, start the car up. Oh yeah, she vibrates a lot. We're just going to turn that heater all the way to hot. It doesn't matter where the fan is, just make sure that the selector is all the way to hot. And you can see the coolant level has already gone down. Oh, watch it go down. It's getting stuck down. So we're going to put some more coolant in. Now a lot of it leaked out the block, so I just dumped the whole bucket in there, and I know it's going to take some more. It'll take a while for all the coolant to circulate through. The thermostat needs to open first. Alright, the car is warmed up. You can see that the coolant level is still good. I'm just going to look down here, check for any leaks around the hoses or anywhere else. You don't want to have any leaks, obviously. Everything here looks pretty good, and we're good to go. Alright, I hope this video helped you out. It's a fairly in-depth procedure, but it's pretty straightforward. I mean, if you've done it before, this is a pretty easy one. And this is the first one. This is actually not too bad of a place to start. It's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to do. You don't really need any special tools to do it either. So, hope this video helps.